The new 20, the new 20, the new 20.
Oh, hello. How's it going? Welcome to the new 20's.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
It's kind of like a hotel this time. We're like, we are the new 20's. This is a quasi-weekly podcast with your host. I am Charles Mockler.
And I'm Caleb Studevant. This is, fun times. We're in the midst of a pandemic and,
week before the election.
2020. If you haven't, in all seriousness, if you haven't voted early, if your state has early voting and, has opened it up yet, try and early vote if you can. If not, obviously, just make sure you vote on Tuesday. Yes, it's going to be one of those important elections, if just not the presidential, but also the local state level elections. There's many things across the board that are available, from just judges and senators, things like that. So just representatives from across the board. So just obviously get informed. You guys got 4 days to get it done. So
let's your
all
shit together. People who haven't voted yet.
Let's make sure we what is it? Rock the vote, vote or die. What everything that's been going on for the last 25 years as far as voting is concerned.
I'm going with Diddy's old one. No bitch assness. I know that wasn't a voting thing he thought up, but it should be.
His was vote or die. It was like the 04 or 08. Was it 04? No, it was 04 because 08 was Obama and 04 was Bush all over again. And everybody was trying to get Bush out. And it was like vote or die. And I was like, I was 14 and I was like, I don't think it's vote or die. Like, I don't think that should be it. Yeah.
Paris Hilton's wearing the vote or die shirt. I'm not sure how serious it is.
So let's get out the vote.
What are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about sports, something that's near and dear to our hearts, something that we bond over regularly, something that we actually are professionals in.
Yes, you
use air quotes
than I am.
I use air quotes.
I just get to talk about them, but yeah.
Still, you get a press pass at Staples, so it's
full credentials.
It's legit.
Chili dogs every game.
It's legit. Anybody who gets a press pass, you're legit. I don't care what you say.
Season long press pass too. Got the full picture and everything.
Humble brag.
I do the thing where I walk through and I hold it up to everybody.
Yeah.
Like,
the security guard. Security guard's like, yeah, it's just Chuck. He's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's what
come on. So you're a professional. So walking your professionalism.
Yes, absolutely.
You supplement your income, but hey, you're still a professional.
Hey, I got to. Sports writing is the worst career to get into if you want to make money. Or talking, I guess. But yeah, this is the 10th episode. Figure we do something special. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Do we want to talk about growing up first or best sports? Because growing up, I think as a kid, sports are so much more important to youth development than I think people give it credit for. And I don't even mean like from a physical aspect. And sports has also gotten youth sports have gotten really corrupted with AAU basketball, all that horrible stuff.
Yeah.
But
Pop Warner sucks too, by the way.
Pop Warner's garbage. Everything because of there's so much money in youth sports now.
Yeah.
But what was great about kind of when we were growing up, at least for me, was like when you played, in your district or whatever, you played with kids who you didn't know anything about usually.
Yeah.
And you were just like, from a young age, you're taught like, hey, if we all work together and get to this common goal, none of the other stuff matters, but let's just get this done.
Yeah. For me, it was. Oh, sorry, my bad.
I was gonna say,
but yeah.
Just like it goes over your head when you're growing up, how kind of important and like how it just helps you understand other people more.
Yeah, I think for me it was interesting because I played Pop Warner football. I played baseball for a year, maybe two, and I went to basketball camp. I never played like AAU basketball or like in Baltimore's BNBL, which was like their acronym for basketball. But like I played summer camp basketball, and I can't say none. I think like 2 or 3 of the kids that I played in the leagues or like in those groups with didn't go to my school. So like, sorry, 1 or 2 of them did. The rest of them didn't. So like there were kids from like a bunch of different schools and just different. We were all kind of in the same community. Like nobody was driving that far to like play for a specific team. Now, that did go on. I'm not going to say that didn't go on. Like kids were driving, parents were driving to like have them play with, certain situations. But for me, I was never that good for my mother to drive me too far away. Like my
were you
Pop
good
Warner
enough to
team,
where they had you, where you did the thing where you play? Because like I have a summer birthday. so I could choose which
Oh.
like age group to play with. And they always say that you should choose obviously the younger one because you're older. And like that's like what every like D1 athlete pretty much when they were coming up, they're like, "Yep, I'm gonna be playing with the age that I turned, like that I've already turned," type thing.
No, I was always on so it was like football was like 9-11, I was 11. Football was 10-12, I was 12. So I was always the oldest on the age range of the group.
For sure.
Probably because I sucked. But
they're like, he's a good vet, you know.
Also,
bring him in here.
Also, if you can't tell, I was a little husky. So I was the kid who was running with the trash bags on. By the way, not healthy.
No, not good at all.
But in 2000, 2001, that was the way I made weight. And I was the happiest kid in the world when they were like, every 2 weeks you get to gain like 3 or 4 pounds. Like they would push up the weight limit because it was like, I just remember specifically having to be 110. I forget what age I was. Like I had to be 110 and I was like 120 or something like that.
Fuck.
And I just like had to lose like 10 pounds like through the summer some kind of way.
Yeah.
I'm just like with a trash bag on. Everybody else is running drills. I'm like, do I really want to play like this bad? And the coach is like, we need you. And I'm like, I'm not that good. I'm about
You're
to
like,
play.
you need me at this size, not at 110.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm about to play offensive line. Like, this is not. He was like, we need you at 110 to play O-line. I'm like, I'm 10, 11. I was like 11. I was like, fine. So I lost the weight, whatever, played. And then like every week you got like 3 pounds or whatever. Because as a kid, you get to, I mean, obviously you're a kid, you get bigger. So like every 2 weeks it was like, hey, you're now you can be 112 or 115 or whatever it is. So I was like, I just remember like losing weight with a trash bag. And that was like, it sucked. But, I did it because it was fun. Like you still got to play football and with your friends and stuff. And it was kind of a cool experience outside the trash bag runs. But
that's what. So you mentioned like playing all those different sports. Like I played sports in Seattle when I was growing up and in Montana when I was growing up. And one of the things that's crazy now about youth sports is that they make kids choose one sport hella early.
Really?
Like which is wild to me. Like I mean growing up, you just said all the ones you played. I played like hockey, golf, soccer, basketball. Didn't really mess with football because I was 6'1" and 86 pounds. So I was like, yeah, this is not for me.
You could have been a receiver easily.
No, I didn't want to because I was taller than everybody, so everyone was just killing me.
I wouldn't send you across the middle, but you'd be my wide receiver. You'd be just.
I played 1 year of Pop Warner tackle football, and I was just like, this is stupid.
Yeah,
like,
I played
I'm too stupid to get hit like this.
3 years, maybe 2 or 3 years. It was like 9, 11, 10, 12, and 11, 14.
Yeah,
I forget, something like that, somewhere in there. But yeah, I played. It was. I had a lot of fun. But yeah, the idea of picking a sport. That's the thing. I was still short though. Like I was still like, average to short height. Like I wasn't a tall kid. I was just fat. And so like, but I was never. So the thing is, I always said I was never sloppy fat. Like I was just chubby.
Yeah, you were.
And I'm still chubby. Yeah, I do. Nobody can guess my weight. Like I'd kill it at the carnival games. Like if people look at me, they go, "Oh, you're like 215, 210." I'm like, "No, 240 right now."
Yeah.
They're like, "What?" Yeah.
I will take my stuffed animal, please.
Yeah, and the funnel cake to be 245. But no, I think that was my thing. Like I was, just kind of the chubby kid, so it was easy for me to play football. Basketball, I liked basketball. I wasn't the best at it. My goal in sports as a kid, and still to this day, if I ever play pickup or anything like that, just don't make sure I'm not last. Do not make sure I'm not picked up last. Second to last, third to last, sure. That's my area. I'll give you like 4 rebounds and a bucket. That's my pickup game right there. I'm defense and a bucket, just one.
That's not bad.
And a corner 3. Corner 3s are my thing.
Corner 3. You go 100%.
Maybe 2 if I'm hot.
What was your what's like your best like youth sports memory?
So
many great moments running through your head right now, I'm sure.
Yeah, no. It would be football. I think one year we won like city or state championship or whatever like that. Damn. Like the best 10, 12 teams. So here's the kicker. Spoiler alert, we had Tavon Austin as our running back.
So Tavon Austin is what you're saying.
So it was like best worst memory was like, I won't say worst, but it was like one of those gripping moments when like I was a kid and I realized I was smarter than not everyone else, but I was smarter than the coaches thought I should be. So like he like sprained his ankle one game or like before the game or something. He couldn't play this one game in the middle of the season. The coach has us like literally in a group, like right before the game. We're like huddled up or whatever right before the game. He's like, hey, we all know Tavon won't be able to play today. It's going to be good. It's going to be okay. We'll still make it. And I'm like, this coach is doubting us right now because we don't have the best player in the league. Like, this is nuts. I'm like, Coach, we're still a good team. Like, we still got good backs. We still can win. Yeah. We still won the game. But it's just like, he was like, I could just see it in his face. Like, as a coach, he was like, oh, we don't got our guy.
That's so funny. Understanding. It's so funny when you get to that moment where you're like, oh, wow, the coaches don't think we're shit.
Yeah. Like,
all right, cool.
But, like, he knew we were. But, like, I don't know if he just felt like he needed to give us the pep talk because he needed the pep talk. It was just funny. I'm like, we'll be fine. Like, we're still a good team. Like, and I think we won, like, all but one game that year. And then that was one, like, we played, like, this team, like, I was so young. It could have been, like, 30 minutes away, and I thought it was, like, an hour and a half away. I don't know how far away this team was. I just remember it was, like, on this dirt field, like, in the middle of nowhere. I felt like it was a suburb somewhere. As a city kid, you just, like, the suburbs felt like the farthest place away.
Yeah, I bet.
So we're playing this team, and it's like to get us to like the right before you go to Disney World or whatever. And we're like, oh, we're going to be good. We're going to go to Disney World. So we're trying to like raise money in preparation to go to Disney World. Of course, this team just beats us.
Yeah, this is so good.
It's like this team that has like, you ever watch Friday Night Tykes?
No, but okay, so I think I understand the concept.
So like this team legit had its own facility, like had like its own little like locker room and everything, and we're like, they got their own. Like we were using a high school like down the street from my house, like shed, everybody else. But no, this place had its own. That's how I knew we were like kind of far on the sticks. Because I'm like, they got enough space to build their own little Pop Warner community out here, and
we're
I'm
screwed.
I'm like, they're organized. You know, we're just showing up. You know, we're getting off a bus.
Stretch on the bus.
We just all barely probably raised enough money for this bus, and we're just like, all right, guys, now how are we gonna pay for Florida? Like, I don't know. So that was probably my worst memory in Pop Warner. Like, I don't even call it a worst memory, but it was just something I think about. That's just funny.
That's legit. Yeah, that's like, I think the best like young one I had is in middle school. We made like a YMCA team, but it was just, I didn't want to deal with any parents, so we had like all of us on the team, and then we had my friends coach it, which there was no loophole that you couldn't do that. You didn't have to have an adult coach. So we were the only team that had a coach, and it was and our head coach was this really very short kid, and then our assistant coach was this kid he was one of those poor kids who sucks when you live in the country, you know, kind of like in a country area, and you're like, he was like 6'4" in like middle school, not athletic. So everyone's like, what are you doing? Like, why? What are you gonna do with your life if you're tall? Which is so shitty.
Yeah.
But like, they were our coach and assistant coach, and it was super fun. And we were horrible, right? Like, we obviously didn't practice. Like, we were just like fucking on the playground. But we had a game. We were playing a team that was running a zone in 8th grade, which is illegal. But if we would have known the rules, we didn't know it was illegal. And we were down like.
First of all, why is zone illegal in the 8th grade?
It's Montana, but you can't dunk either. Like in high school basketball when I was growing up, if you dunked, it was a technical foul, and the other team got the ball and they took the basket away. It's like Footloose, but with dunks, I guess.
Sounds pretty white to me, Chuck.
It's very white.
Yeah.
It's the just white saying. Because they were like, that shouldn't even be possible.
It's like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar outlawed this years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, learn a good layup. How about 2 hands? But we were down we were down a bunch of points, and like I took the ball up, and we were down like 8, and I was like 2 steps past the halfway line, and for some reason I was like, this is stupid. I just let it fly, just nothing but net, easy. Whole gym is psyched because they hate this team. It's one of those teams where like even the parents don't like the coach and that kind of thing.
Oh, that sucks.
Next possession, they score on us obviously because we're not running a 2-3 zone. I get the ball again, and I take one less step in, and I heave it up, and it just goes in again. And And I just turned to the crowd and I did the like, come on, like the hands, right? And everyone was like, yeah. And I was like, this is tight. Like, we're gonna get our asses kicked, but this is hella fun. Like that was that, and like we don't even have jerseys. We're wearing like the same color t-shirt. Like it's just like that was hella fun.
I heard a young Steph Curry was in the stands, and he was inspired by your game that day. And
Dell was like, "We got this kid. We gotta go watch."
Change the game. Change the NBA.
Yeah,
with
that
those
was
two
probably
shots.
That was probably the best youth one I had. That was just a fun time. And looking back now, I wish I would have had more fun playing youth sports.
Same.
If that makes sense.
Same. No, like, completely.
Understanding. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to go professional. Like, I feel like you were probably in the same boat where you knew from a pretty young age, there's no fucking way I'm going pro.
My dad's 5'8" or something like that. My mom's 4'11". I mean, at best, I'd be a jockey. Like, what are we doing here?
So, like, my dad, not athletic. My mom, so good at basketball when she was young. Like, grew up in Oklahoma City, like, wild good at basketball. So I play a lot of basketball and stuff, but, like, you know, I didn't have the drive to, like, I was just like, I don't want to do this shit. Like,
yeah,
people are getting hurt. But, yeah, I wish I would have had more fun playing sports. And baseball, I probably liked baseball the most, but that's because baseball practice is the most fun game to practice because you're either always hitting or you're purposely getting baseballs hit at you so you can actually do something. Like the games suck because you're just like, okay, I'm left-handed, so I just always played first. Like, no one can throw.
Yeah, same. I'm lefty, so I was a first baseman. Yeah. But then he like tried to make me a pitcher, and I was like, I was too afraid to hit somebody. Like I would just be like
too slow.
I would be like, my speed wasn't a problem. It was just like my control would just be like, I'm gonna hit somebody, and I just knew it. And I was like, I'm afraid I can't do this. So I just started playing first base or like outfield or something.
First base sucks in Little League because no one can throw, and then when there's a bad throw, like you got to catch that. And I was like, I'm standing here. They have to get the ball to me. But yeah, I wish I would have had more fun, and I just wish I would have had better coaches. Like, bad coaches are the worst.
Yeah. I don't know. Baseball was only a year, so I don't know if I had a bad coach or not. I feel like he taught me stuff. Like I remember the stuff he taught me, like fundamentally like about the game. But I don't know if it was good stuff. Like I don't know. Like I never stuck with it long enough to be like, hey, this coach was good or bad.
Yeah.
Football, we had some good coaches.
Football coaches seem like they're all bad based on what I'm looking back at what the version of like sports masculinity was back then.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, no. Because playing hurt is another thing that I hate.
So yeah, I got a great story for that one. I got a great. So I'm pretty sure I got a concussion. Like, or closest thing to a concussion.
Every 30-year-old who played youth football has had 5 concussions.
So we had like the scrimmage against the younger team. It was like 9-11 and 10-12, like just scrimmage in that practice.
You keep saying 9-11, and
that's because that's how I think of the age.
But in my brain, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. So this kid is like under me, like he's smaller than me, which is, you know, hard to do because I'm not the tallest person in the world. But he's a younger kid, so he's just like shorter than me. He gets under me, raises up, and pops me like he just off the line. Like I'm not chin, but like into my face mask pretty much. So like I'm playing O-line, he's playing D-line. He's smaller than me, so I don't know if he just jumped the count or whatever, but like he pops right up into my face, and I'm like, whew. Like I vividly remember like going over to the coach like, hey, I don't know. I think I got like a stinger in my head or something. Like he was like, you know, how you get a stinger in your shoulder. I'm like explaining to the guy.
Brain.
Yeah, I'm like, he's like, yeah, you'll be fine. Just sit down for a second. You'll be fine.
Drink some water.
Like, pretty much. And it was like, yeah, it's just a little stinger. You'll be okay. Like, obviously, he didn't have the USA football training.
Nobody did because they didn't take
back in the day. That didn't matter. Yeah. So like, you know, I know that day it was like I probably had a concussion. Should have been out for, you know, a couple weeks or a week at least.
Yeah.
So it was just like I definitely played the next game though. I was in there.
Out there. I think the moment I realized it was so stupid, just as a young kid, you're like playing hurt seems dumb because I'm hurt and I can't play. My senior year in hockey, I'm coming up the boards and there's a kid on the other team who's like a super, super senior. Like might have been 20. He was huge and like an adult. Like he's an adult, right? Yeah. And he's like big, like not muscly, like he's just a big fat dude who could skate well. And he just destroys me. Like I'm far away from the boards and he checks me so hard, I just get shot into the boards. And like my shoulder, I can't feel my shoulder. It's like tingling and I'm like skating to the bench like, coach, I can't do anything. And the next morning, I couldn't even lift it. Like I couldn't do anything. I was like, coach, I can't play the first game today. And he looked at me, he's like, oh, you got a hurt shoulder? And I was like, yes, I do have a hurt shoulder. I can't lift it. Pass it. And he's like, it'd be great if you could try and make it out there. And I went out there for warm-ups. And he was like, yeah, he's like, you can't play today. What are you doing? And I was like, I hate this. Like, I hate this. I know my body. I told you I couldn't do this.
That's crazy.
Playing hurt is so funny.
Yeah, no, that's wild. I don't know if I played hurt. Probably. I never was like hurt to a point where like I felt like I should be out.
Riddled. I have the injury bug. That shoulder thing happened. A hockey puck hit my knee once and cracked my knee, which really, really hurt. My knee was like the size of a grapefruit the next day.
Ooh.
The week before golf skate, I was skateboarding and cracked my elbow, so that wasn't good. But yeah, I had the injury. I had the injury bug in high school and was like, yeah, okay, this is done.
That's why you didn't go pro?
That was the only reason. Body didn't hold up, you know?
You and Skip Bayless, politics and
yeah,
politics and injuries. That's crazy. What else do we have on the docket? Let's see. Working in sports, man. How's it? I mean, I know we kind of joked about it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I have it from such a different perspective. So like I host a daily Clippers podcast, Locked On Clippers, 5 days a week. Come through. We need fans right now. Did not go well.
The season or the podcast?
Season. Podcast is doing great because I get to host it with my really good buddy. We fell ass first in this opportunity too. We got so lucky. So here's how few Clippers podcasts there are. We randomly on a whim, because we love the Clippers, started a Clippers podcast. We put out 5 episodes, and then this network was like, hey, I need someone to host this daily Clippers podcast. And we were like, all right, cool. And then we were like, oh, this is like a real thing. So we get media credentials. I love working in sports because from my perspective, I'm basically just a fan who talks about the games and recaps and everything.
That's pretty cool.
And we don't really have any oversight. So we can kind of say whatever we want. We can critique the organization, which I think is a big thing lacking from like beat writers. I get why. But I love it.
Get anything if they shoot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is happening with a Clippers beat writer now. But like, it's funny because like, so we record Sunday through Thursday because they come out Monday through Friday. So when there's games on Friday or Saturday, Will and I are just at the game. We have no work that we have to do.
That's pretty dope. That's so dope.
Like, we're just hanging out, like drinking beers in the press room after, which they give out, which is tight. We were the only people to take advantage of that.
That's
and then
dope.
A fair amount of people were like, you guys having beers? We're like, yeah. So we got like this little crew or whatever. So I love it. But it has made me respect journalists a lot more. Not that I didn't before, but like they got to transcribe everything. And man, you really don't see the work that athletes put in outside of the actual game. Like that, like, dude, like that, like even just the pregame stuff. Like Patrick Patterson, who some people might not even know about, but is a adequate basketball player. His pregame workout is the most intense I've ever seen. And he doesn't even play.
But you gotta be ready. You never know.
Dude, it's insane. But yeah, like just seeing the work they put in, and really, I know this sounds childish, truly just how large these human beings are.
So that was a thing I noticed with the bubble. With their new camera angles, like their baseline camera and everything, you don't really get a perspective of how tall these guys are until you see that from that baseline level. Like football players, like unless you're an offensive lineman, they're just like they're not super tall. Basketball guys are super tall. Like
everybody.
Like
it's funny.
Like this guy on the basketball team is like the tallest guy on a football team.
Well, have you seen that clip of like David Blaine doing magic tricks for like Steph Curry and Draymond?
Yeah.
So Steph Curry on a basketball court, you're like, oh, he's kind of little. And then you see Steph Curry on regular people, and you're like, oh, what?
Yep. That's what people fail to realize. Like you see guys and you're just like, for basketball, football players, I guess for me it's different because I'm around them more often. I don't think they're that big anymore because it's just like, like you're just
370-pound guy.
So, yeah, that's the thing. Like they are a 300-pound like offensive defensive linemen, but like they're super athletic, super built, like they're in shape.
Svelte. It's like
They're in shape. Like there are a couple fat guys out there, but there's like some athletic big guys who can move. Like I
And Ndamukong
saw,
Suh was the first one. That 40 time for
yeah.
Ndamukong Suh, I was like, that guy weighs 300 pounds.
So when I was in Houston, and I worked at Rice, we had our defensive line coach. His name was Frank Ocam, and Frank's a great guy.
That's a defensive line coach name right there.
So he was All-American at Texas when they won like the national championship. Played a few years in the league. He's now the assistant D-line coach with the Panthers. Damn. And I saw Frank. We were working out in the gym. I don't know, maybe Frank's 350-ish. I don't want to give him 350. He might be 325, somewhere in there. I don't know. He's a big dude. 6'3"-ish, 6'4". Huge. I mean, Frank is huge. Big Frank. Like, I saw him on – but, however, it wasn't like I saw him lifting. I saw Frank on the treadmill. And when I say he was moving, he was moving.
And I'm sure the form was good.
I was just in awe. I was like, I've never seen a person move this big move. Like I was in like, and Frank retired from the league, 30, Frank might be a couple years older than me. So 32, 33, moving on this treadmill. And I'm like, whoever comes across this guy, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, why would you? Like, I'm not. Like, and if you get to know Frank, the nicest guy in the world, smartest guy, like, he's got his master's from Rice. This is how smart this guy is.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, genius level stuff. But, like, he can move, and I just was in awe. So when I see guys like that, I think it's one, yes, there are guys who get lucky and, you know, their stats get them in the league. But then there are guys who are just, like, freakish athletes who, you know, just shouldn't be amongst us normal people.
It's funny because, like, did you ever have – like, there was a kid on that basketball team I was talking about who, like, never played sports but he's the most athletic dude I've ever known. Yeah. Like, you have those kids who are, like, really short or something, but they're just like, yeah, no, I can get rim. And you're like, we're in 7th grade. Like, like this is crazy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, working in sports, it's like you really just see how big human beings can get. Like, dude, I've walked by Kawhi and just been around Kawhi a bunch, and I'm like, how are you this big? Like, it doesn't even make sense. I think, and that's the thing with basketball. Basketball, you see those guys, and they're all around each other, so they all look like normal height. Like, you look at a guy like Kawhi, and you're just like, he's not that tall. Like, because you see him on TV, because, Dwight Howard's on the court, and JaVale McGee's on the court. You're like, he's not that tall. And even LeBron next to Kawhi is probably like 2 inches taller than Kawhi. So it's like, how tall is Kawhi? 6'6"? Yeah, something like that, 6'8".
Yeah, so like you see LeBron who's got 2 inches on him, and you're like, "Hey, Kawhi, you're not that big," And then you stand next to Kawhi, you're like,
"I am in the hallway,"
and you're like, "Hey, buddy,
yeah,
who gets up that high to do those cornrows?"
So one of the funniest sports memories I have, we got to play like pee-wee hockey at like the intermission of like Seattle doesn't have a pro team, but they had like a junior hockey team. Mm-hmm. We got to play hockey, and they played in Key Arena, RIP. I mean, it's still there. They just don't do sports.
Just don't do sports.
We got to like use the locker room, like the visitor locker room in Key Arena to dress.
Nice.
And I remember looking at the shower heads because they're like 12 feet off the ground. Like, it's like not a normal shower. You're like, oh my God. My mom was like, look how high that is. That was one of the funniest, like, oh, this is crazy.
That's pretty cool. I didn't think about that, but that's funny. Yeah.
What's your favorite part about working in sports? Because you do a lot, you like work for a team and you do a lot more like technical editing stuff.
What's my favorite part about working in sports? Just I guess the idea that everybody on the outside thinks like my job's the coolest in the world. Like,
I would kind of have to agree with that.
People always like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, you get to travel, and I'm like, yeah, like. It's bittersweet that I get to travel.
Yes,
like it's bittersweet that I get to travel because like we travel and we're there in like X city for one night or whatever. So it's cool, but at the same time it's like it's draining. Like because I'm tired and there's no days off. I work 7 days a week, so it's awesome.
Yeah,
but I guess my favorite part is like actually being in the building some days. Like, not like I'm this guy like feeding Adam Schefter stuff, but like being in the
You
building.
better not be feeding Adam Schefter stuff.
God, no. God, no. That would be the end of it. That would be the end of this podcast. That'd be the end of me. Or this would turn into a podcast about something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, like just to be like in the building and kind of getting that like vibe of like what it actually is to like go to work. Because like these guys treat it like it's their
100%.
job, like because it is their job. This is their profession, and everybody on the outside is like, oh, what a cool game, and I'm like, no, this is our job. Like, I mean, the players work their butts off every single day. Even the
Coaches,
ones,
it's insane.
coach. Oh my God, coaches
don't sleep. I think it's something a lot of
hardly
people
ever.
don't understand.
Hardly
Coaches
ever.
do not sleep.
There are coaches who, I mean, will watch film all night long and then will go home and watch film some more and then come home and devise game plans. Sometimes they don't even work, which is crazy. Like the amount of work they put in, and it's just like, they're like, oh, this guy sucks. This coach sucks. Not realizing that the amount of work the coach that you said
Most
sucks.
coaches.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. The amount of work that like somebody might say this coach sucks is the exact same amount of work that a guy like Bill Belichick might put in, or a guy like somebody else like that you hold in high regard. Like I've seen coaches who are the best of the best do the same amount of work and do some of the same stuff that some of the coaches who consider the worst of the worst are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys are far off on who is a bad coach, who's a good coach, who has like. So I think that goes unnoticed a lot of times.
Yeah.
Just to get to see like how hard these guys work and how much time, energy, and effort they put in. Yeah, they're slackers just like every other job. Yeah, they're guys who try to cut corners just like every other job. But then they're like, but there are guys who work their butts off day in and day out, and a lot of people just think they just practice 3 days a week and then there's a game on Sunday. No, that's not even close to what you're not seeing. So I think that's part of one of my things that I like about it is like, hey, like shut up, normal fan. Like I really know what's going on.
I can't even talk. It's so frustrating now because like my younger brother is like, when we ever talk about basketball, and I'm a Clippers fan, I know what that means. I've heard every joke about it, whatever. Talking sports with him is so difficult because I'll be like, oh yeah, I was like, Paul George had a pretty good season pre-playoffs. And he'll just be like, Paul George's ass. And I'm like, all right, why? Like, give me a reason why we can talk about it. And he's like, he can't even, and he'll be like, oh man, like he had a shitty game. And I'm like, you don't get it.
They don't know.
Like,
they don't know.
It's not, or they'll be like, he's not as good as Kobe. And I was like, what are we doing right now? What are we doing right now? We're not doing that. Like, I know that.
Yeah, it's such a tough dynamic because people don't think that like, we don't, like, obviously from a fan's perspective, you watch ESPN and you watch,
no one should
highlights.
Watch ESPN. My thing is like, I wish people would stop watching ESPN because you don't have having a conversation about sports is going out the window.
Yeah.
People just want to talk at each other about sports.
Yeah.
Like they just want to be like, Kobe couldn't beat Michael Jordan. And
yeah.
The person's like, well, they couldn't beat Kareem. And you're like, what the fuck? No one. You're just shouting at each other.
Yeah.
Like,
but that's their thing though. Their thing is like, here's side A, here's side B, and argue. And that's what makes for good entertainment, which they're selling you right now is entertainment. Like nobody wants to see two guys like you and I get on TV and be like, hey man, did you watch that game? Yeah, it was a good game. Yeah, it was a good game. All right, man. Okay, cool. It was a good game.
Good to see you. This. Always good talking. Like,
they want a debate pretty much. They wanted side A and side B. They want Fox News versus CNN.
You can't agree. Like there's no part like when I talk sports with people, you have to be like, oh, I think this, and then someone's like, well, here's a good counter argument, and you're like, damn, okay, that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, you can't. No, Skip Bayless has to be Skip Bayless 100% of the time. He can't just be like, hey, LeBron had a great game. However, he did miss a free throw in the third quarter, which would have gave them a 5-point lead instead of the 4-point lead. And like that's what he has to do. Like he has to do that in order to keep the show going. But I for me, it's just like the normal fan who watches ESPN and regurgitate what they heard somebody say and think it's gospel is like, hey, no, that's not how this works. Like, did you watch the whole game? Like, player X had no interceptions this game, but did you see that they dropped 7 interceptions? Like the defense dropped 6 of them. He had a bad game.
Yeah, exactly.
But he hasn't thrown an interception in 17 straight games.
You're like, so what?
They also ran the ball 40 times a game, but what do I know about sports? You know, like you keep talking like
I have to argue with people about load management.
That's fun. I can imagine how fun that is.
Because they're like, Kawhi doesn't play. And I'm like, first of all, he doesn't play back-to-backs, which no star player should do. It's dumb as hell. Anyway, I don't want to get too far into it. I will get hot. No, I think so. Like you said about like being at the stadium, I love like getting to the stadium early and like just seeing everybody and seeing the production that goes behind putting on a whole thing from every aspect. From like players, like Doc Rivers used to have like closed practices before the games that like you couldn't go into, and I was like, this seems a little last minute, but what do I know? And like stuff like that, and just being around it. Like, I just love that vibe of like, it's that communal goal, right? Like everyone's trying to get that one job done. And it's like, let's just get this thing done. Yeah,
that's how it is in a building. Like people think wins and losses. Like I've been like a normal fan before starting like a professional career in sports. Like, so I get like the win and a loss, you know, you're being upset at the team because you lost a game and everything. It's completely different when you're in the building after a loss, or you got to get on the bus, or you got to get on a plane after a loss, and like nobody's happy and everybody's pissed, and you got to come to work on Monday and look the loss right back in the face. And like it's just all like people think, oh, we lost on, and then they just go back to work and like, no, this is our job. Like, we lost on Sunday, and then you got to show up on Monday like, hey guys, you know, right. Hey guys, we lost on Sunday. Like, we got to get better at this. And so for me, it's just like that whole, like you said, that communal goal. Everybody's trying to strive for, you know, to be great, to be perfect, you know, to win the game. And at the end of the day, it's like, no matter what beef you have with somebody in the building, like, it goes away once you win.
Yeah, 100%.
Like the game's on the line. Everybody's cheering. Like, oh, I hated you yesterday because you you said something in the meeting that pissed me off. But like, I don't care. We won. Yeah,
we got it done.
Yeah. So I do agree with that. Like, that's probably one of my, like, game day. The game day experience for me is what keeps me in this industry. Like, there's nothing, in my opinion, that can mimic game day.
Oh, agreed. Yeah, I mean,
I'm pretty sure everybody has their quote unquote game day for their job, but for me, I don't know what other avenue could mimic game day, or like what other profession for me could mimic game day. Like, if you work at Apple, is the Apple event game day for you? I don't know how that works. Like,
you got a big store opening, y'all. Yeah, got the iPhone 12 coming out.
Yeah, you know, like, I don't know. So for me, it's like because for me, I get to the game, or we arrive to the game like 3-4 hours before kickoff.
We get there 4 hours before. Yeah, we would get there. No, we get there 3 hours early.
Yeah, so you get there that early, and obviously you're gonna talk like, oh man, it's gonna be a good game. Hopefully, you know, blah blah blah. And for me, right, those 3 or 4 hours beforehand, like, I could have my prediction the whole week leading up to the game. I could have exactly. I could have my prediction like, we might lose this one. We should win this one easily. But 3-4 hours before the game, you're like, it's gonna be close, man. And then kickoff comes, and you're like, it's anybody's game. Let's go. Like, it just completely switches. Like, no matter how bad you think the team is that's across from you, especially in football, like, you can be like, oh, it's, you know, I don't know who the worst team is.
The Clippers got the doors blown off by the Grizzlies during the regular season, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
And you're just like, oh, this team sucks that's over there. They're 1-6 right now.
So that's another appreciation you have, is you appreciate bad teams.
I wouldn't say I appreciate them, but I respect them.
Yeah.
Okay, I respect what they can accomplish. Like, it literally is any given Sunday. Like, you show up and you can't just walk out. I don't think players know this, coaches knows. You can't just walk out on the field and think, oh, this team sucks, we can run right over them. Does it happen sometimes? Of course. But does the flip side happen too, where you're just like, oh, we'll win this game? Lo and behold, this team's got nothing to play for. They don't care. They don't care
about you at all.
Yeah, they're just having fun. They're running crazy plays and it's working and they're winning. And like,
I watched Shake Milton put up almost 50 on the Clippers.
Never heard of him.
No, because he plays for Philly and everyone was hurt, but Shake Milton had 48 and they almost won. Like,
Shake Milton sounds like he's from 1975.
He sounds like a baseball player.
I was gonna give him 75 with Dr. J. It was Dr. J and Shake Milton. Shake was in the post.
Shake Milton. Shake was in the post, killing him. So now we got to go to the flip side. What's the worst thing about working in sports? And I can say a lot more about this than I think you can, based on positions. But
Oh, I can tell you what mine is. I have no problem with the hours. The hours completely suck for me.
Okay.
I hate the amount of time we put in and the amount of time. Now, I don't have a family. I don't have like wife, kids, or anything. But I feel for those who do.
We've addressed that on previous episodes of the new 20s. If you'd like to check those out too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, the relationship one from last week, or
Oh, that's a good time. Any of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Push gifts.
Yeah, single uncle life. Deadbeat uncle life. Yeah. So, but for me, like, I don't have any family here. So it's not like I'm missing. I won't say I'm not missing out. Let me not throw that in the atmosphere. I do like my free time.
Oh,
listen.
yeah.
So like, I don't want to just be sitting at a desk or, just like, hey, we got to do this, we got to do that. And I'm like, okay, sure. Like, but can we go home at some point? Like, training camp.
I would like to go home.
Training camp is like, you're in at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. You don't leave till like 8, 9 o'clock. Like back in the day when 2-a-days were a thing. Oh, it killed my life.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure.
So it was just like, for me, the time is by far, because I feel like, this is a personal thing, I feel like there was a coach in like the 80s or the 70s who was just like, I got to stay an extra day. And like everything in sports is a copycat. Somebody heard about it. He might not even been a good coach. He just won a conference championship.
Yeah.
I won't even say he won a national championship. He won a conference championship like 6 years in a row.
I was like, wow, Art comes in on Saturdays.
Yeah, he's here every day.
Damn it,
so,
Art.
or what happened is they got a coach from that staff, and they was like, yeah, we're in on Sunday mornings. We're in on Thursdays. We're here till 10 o'clock. And they're like, is that the secret? And then now everybody's staying late and coming in early, staying late. And I'm like,
the efficiency.
Who did this?
Time efficiency is something that is not respected in the NFL circles.
Yeah.
Like Adam Gase is someone who I know spends a lot of time. I'm a Dolphins fan. I know Adam Gase puts in the hours, but I'm like, what are you doing during these hours, sir? Like,
and that's the thing. Everybody's different. Like some coaches are, use that time efficiently and they're knocking out a bunch of different things. Some coaches are just waiting for their boss to get out. Like, hey, this position coach is done with his work, but he can't leave because his coordinator's still here.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I'm done, but I'm just sitting here. Now it's across the board. It's different for me. I just wish the hours were less for everybody involved.
Yeah.
But I get it. I also understand the importance of what's on the line too. At the same time, like, not only millions of dollars are at stake, but just the idea of winning and losing, like, which leads to your millions of dollars. So I get it.
Sure.
I understand it. I don't like it, but it's a necessary evil. That's my least favorite part. What about you?
It's funny talking about hours because, like, my hours, Will and I record. It takes like an hour or so to get everything done. It's only a half hour, so that's not a big deal. But, like, during the season, because I had an office job, I would get there. I'd get to my office job really early so I could justify leaving at 3:30 because I worked in the South Bay, which is a pretty long bus ride up to Staples Center. Mm-hmm. And so the hours were basically like get to Staples Center at 3:30. Hang out, do the pressers, and then when there's game days, we would record at one of our houses after the game, so we'd be done at like 1:30, 2 in the morning, pretty consistently, and then I just have to get up and go into early work again. So that part wasn't bad, but I think the worst part for me is like, honestly, dude, like just some of the shit you hear in the like, the press room, the sports writer room, that just is kind of like misogynistic bullshit about other stuff. I'm just like, we gotta stop this. Like we gotta stop. Like, no, Rachel Nichols did not get that interview with Doc over you because she's a attractive woman. You're not on Rachel Nichols' level. Like, how can you not get that? Like, it's not even a question. Like, you work for a newsletter. You know what I mean?
I think everybody has to have an excuse as to why they didn't get it.
So that's what I don't like. And the other thing is, like, Will and I do a good job of, like, the whole vibe of our podcast is, like, just two guys talking about the Clippers in an informed way that's not annoying, right? Yeah. So we just try and keep like that. But there's this new thing with a lot of sports writers where you're kind of trying to sell the personality because of things like Skip Bayless and Stephen A. and all these people. Much. But so here's what sucks about that idea is that, like Stephen A. Smith, before he was what he is now, was one of the hardest working, best journalists in sports.
I can believe that.
Like, he hosted his radio show. Like, he put in so much work. And people don't see that you have to do that part before you can just start being like, LeBron wouldn't have scored 8 back again in the 50s. And you're like, dude, you're not, no one cares. Like, it's kind of just the bombasticness of trying to use that to like further your career. And then I hate just making up rumors because that happens so much. And it affects,
you'd be surprised.
yeah. But there's just stuff like that where it's like, journalism specifically has a shady element to it.
Yeah.
Where you're like not crediting people for stuff. That's really what I get angry at.
Yeah.
And and seeing that some people who play sports are just kind of dickheads, which sucks sometimes. But that's how it goes.
But I guess that goes into like our other one of our earlier questions on the list here. It's like how things changed for us in sports as we went from like younger kids to like adults now working in sports. And for me, it's like idolizing, football players or athletes and not realizing that not everybody, but a lot of the guys aren't these great guys that you think they are, or it's a complete 180. Like the guy who you thought was a jerk or who like the media made you think was a jerk is the nicest guy in the building. And you're like, this guy is not who people are saying he. Like, how did you get this perception of him? And it's because one journalist got snubbed in an interview, or they didn't answer his question the way they wanted him to answer it. And so he's like, oh, this guy's mean. Or literally one fan didn't get an autograph, and they were the one that their tweet went viral because they didn't get that one autograph. And that player literally signed like hundreds of thousands of autographs before them. So like it's crazy that people do that. And that happens. So I think that's one of the things for me is just like, one, these guys are multifaceted. They're human beings. They're normal people.
So, bro, that's the biggest part.
So,
like seeing Lou Will like FaceTime with his kids before a game, or like Trez has his daughter there, and you're like, damn. This is a lot you have going on right now.
Yeah. Then he's got to stop and get lemon pepper wings before he shows up to see his kids.
Man, see, this is why I can't even talk about sports with people I like. Like, I'm getting dragged for no reason.
But no, trust me, I completely get it, and but we can make jokes like that, and I mean nothing of it because I just know how it is.
Yeah,
but there are people who be like, "How could he stop and get lemon pepper wings?" Or how? And
you're like, well, his mentor literally, they just had the funeral for him.
Yeah, like,
and the guy wants to have his favorite wings.
Yeah, but like in your mind, in my mind, like we understand it. People outside the bubble, and for lack of a better term, don't get it. And it's like, what? How could this doesn't make sense? Like they're supposed to be like, I want to tell people like the way fans want players to be in their playbook and be at practice and be working out and be doing lifts. I want to turn around and be like, hey, you work at McDonald's. How often are you dropping those fries? Are you reading the manual?
It's like, here's how many hours of your day that you want them to dedicate that to your job, and let's see where we're at.
I would love for you to be like, hey, why don't you know every word in the McDonald's manual? Why don't you know how to properly fold the t-shirt at Target? Why isn't like, I'm not busting your balls at your job, and telling you, hey, my change was short when I came through as a cashier. And, why is it different for, LeBron James when he misses one layup? But if you short your drawer by $5, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Like, and so I think that's what people fail to realize, that yes, they are professional athletes. Yes, they are gifted. Yes, they are blessed to make the amount of money they make and to have the platform that they have. But at the same time, this is still their job. This is still their profession. And they still have a life outside of basketball. Just because you don't want them to,
and
is your problem.
They're responsible for so much more than you even know.
Nuts. You don't think they don't understand the weight of the world that's on their shoulders already?
Yeah.
And you think because you said he wasn't clutch is not now, unless you're Kevin Durant, who cares about stuff like that.
A lot of players have burners. Let's just say a lot of players have burners.
Oh, I'm not surprised, but he got caught. So
yeah, and he owned it, which I loved. I love the kid who was like, "Yeah, I have burners. I still use them. What are you gonna do?" They're like, "Well, okay."
Yeah. So I just think it's one of those things where you just got to be like, hey, these are human beings. They have families. They have mothers and children and wives and husbands or whatever. These are people who have a life outside of their sport. Just because sport is the major thing in your life doesn't. You'd be surprised how many athletes don't really like the sport they play.
It's a job. So many every year. I feel
surprised.
like every year there's an article that comes out about like I remember a couple years ago it was this soccer player who was like, yeah, I see this as a job. Like this is the best way I can make money. I realized that, and everyone was like, "You don't play for the love of the game," and he was like, "Dude, what? Like, not everybody is like." Well, and it's so different for each because he's I'm pretty sure he's French, but he's black, and so that is a whole other world of being a soccer player.
Man.
He's like, people are shouting racist shit at me. No, I don't necessarily love this game. Like, I get paid this much, and people are just like, this is disgusting. You're like, dude, like if the league was made up of only people who loved the game so much,
oh my god, it'd be guys like us.
It'd be horrible. Like,
honestly, I don't even love it that much. Like I like it. It's cool and all, but not to put that much work in.
No, like if I could be a glue guy, for the locker room, no problem.
No doubt. If I could be Udonis Haslem coasting, yeah, of course.
Yes, but like it is funny how like you really realize like this shit's a job.
No, I legit have had conversations with guys who would just be like, yeah, I mean, I don't really like football like that, but I like
dude.
There are guys who were basketball players who were like, I like basketball a lot better than I like football, and they're playing in the NFL, and you're like, what? That doesn't.
They're literally too big, probably.
Or they're just like, I just couldn't shoot, and I just was like, hey, I can push people though. Like, it's just like one of those things where I'm still gifted. Like it's just like anybody else who's good at their job doesn't mean that it's their life. And I want people to understand, or anybody just to be like, your career is not your life. And everyone has.
Yeah, like everyone has that one thing that they're like probably hella good at that is not your job. Like,
no doubt.
It's a lot, man. No, but having eyes open to like just what those guys go through is just such a trip.
Oh yeah, I couldn't imagine like knowing that the minute I get drafted, that everybody in my family just thought they cashed in.
Dude, those are the saddest stories, bro.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. I'd be like, oof.
Well, I read a really sad study of like, that wasn't a surprise when I read it, but I think in the NBA draft or NFL draft, like over 80% of the time when it would be like a black draft pick, they would ask them if they're going to buy their mom a house. And for a white draft pick, it was literally like 10%. Like there's so much horrible racial stuff.
Oh, I can see
with all that shit where you're just like, God damn it! Like
that is one thing I hate about the draft though. They give you like,
dude, this year's NFL draft was like fun facts. Used to play basketball. Dad died in a shootout. And you're like, wait, what?
I was definitely gonna say that. The dad died thing was like prevalent. Like I think 4 people had their parent killed or somebody died of cancer.
Yeah,
and I was like, why has this become morbid city? Like
I don't need to know this.
Yeah, it was bad. Or like my favorite is like now they're just like killing guys' character. Like, he did have this drug arrest back in 2016.
It was a 5th-degree misdemeanor.
Even though he had a sprinkle of marijuana in his car. He got pulled over, and there's never like the.
And they're also, it gets younger and younger. That's what's really trips me out. Is professional athletes are just literally getting younger and younger. Yeah. And like we talked a little bit about AAU, and we can do a whole podcast on how horrible AAU is.
I don't know that much about it, but I know it's bad.
I mean, you're playing year-round basketball, and you're like 13, and you're giving interviews, and you're just like, what the hell are we doing? Yeah. Like, you think college athletes don't make any money? AAU athletes don't make any money. And all that shit's run by agents, and it's so messed up. Like, I watched a documentary on it, and this one guy is like, yeah, I try and find single mothers with really athletic sons who don't really know what they have. And
I'm not surprised.
Like,
why would
like, no, I'm not surprised either, but you're like, dude, you're so proud to say this.
Like, it's
in your face.
If you want to hear bad, and this is kind of a little off topic, watch. It's called, if you can find it. I haven't been able to find it. It's a documentary called "Schooled: The Price of College Athletics" or something like that. And there's this scene where they talk about I haven't seen that one. There's a scene.
It's from like the 80s. Anyway, sorry.
Well, this one's from like 2012, maybe 2013, which is ironically 8 years ago now. I didn't say it like that.
I mean, back in my 20s.
I digress. Yeah, I digress. But no, it's there's a scene where an AD, I don't know if it's an AD or he definitely was an administrator, if not the AD of a college. and there's a seminar of this guy like giving a presentation about paying players. And after the thing's over, after the presentation, the AD walks up and he's like, that's like having the animals run the zoo. And I was like, oh, it's over, guys.
Okay,
This guy
this is all.
he was like, he either said the animals running the zoo or the prisoners running the jail. Either way, it was that analogy.
If he did
of
animals
like,
running the zoo, that is an elevation of prisoners running the jail.
It was
which
like
is just like
either way, I'm like, it's a wrap. Like this, and that's how sports have been seen for a long time. From that collegiate NCAA, what's it? Yeah, that whole idea of you're not a professional. You're an amateur athlete, and you're not supposed to be paid to do this.
And they control you so much. One of Hannah's best
we
friends.
Could talk. That's another podcast in and of itself. Jeez.
One of Hannah's best friends was the state champ swimmer at Wyoming, every year, All-American type shit. I know, you're like, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of land, you can build pools, but they got to be indoors. But she got a scholarship, and she was like, I thought I was gonna, I get my year scholarship, I get to swim, and they were like, she's like, I had a coach that was like, here's the list of all the things you can't do, and it was like, you can't go to these certain areas. You can't be in pictures with these people. And she was like, what are we doing? And I'm getting my ass beat every day in practice. It's a lot. They control shit.
It is. I mean, there's a risk reward aspect to it. I mean, obviously there are players who
so high.
Yeah, there are players who make out and they become draft picks. And I mean, obviously I think it has helped a ton of people as well that come from low income.
If they get helped, if they get help to also get their degree and not just focus on getting drafted, it's amazing.
No, and I've definitely come across coaches who are like that, who make sure these kids are going to class and make sure they're staying out of trouble and stuff like that. So there are coaches. I don't want to paint this broad picture of this whole slave master, slave mentality of how people want to paint college athletics, which I agree it can be like that sometimes, but there are some good people who work within the system who do try to help out and do their best. So I like I said, there's two sides to every story, but I think we oftentimes paint this broad picture of college sports, and there are coaches who around the country who do a great job, but then there are some who obviously exploit the system, and the system is there for what it is. It's free labor. It's guys who, you bring in and you tell their mom, you tell their dad, you tell their, grandmom, hey, look, we'll make your kid the best.
This is the best kid I've ever seen.
Yeah. He'll start for us. He'll start for us and he'll be a great contributor to our team. And we love to have him here. And we'll take care of him and we'll take him from a boy and make him a man. And they have these weird father complexes for these kids for a stretch of 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
When the next best kid comes along, it's just like, all right, kid, we're done being.
Or you get hurt.
It's like it's a weird dynamic. It's this whole idea of, I think college coaches that strategically want to stay in college. Again, not all of them, but there are some who have this weird, I don't want to say God complex, but this father savior type complex of because in college the face of the program is typically the coach.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the quarterback comes in and out, every 2 to 3 years, you get a new quarterback for a 2-3 year stretch maybe, but it's typically that coach. He's the one that's everywhere. He's the one, that's supposed to be, the face of the program. So it's his job to bring in the talent. It's his job to, do all these things. And I think those guys have this, not all, some have this ego of I'm the guy and I'll make it and I'll, build this.
I won my conference championship in 1995, and I'm gonna do it again, you sons of bitches.
Oh, don't ever go to Texas. Everybody's got a championship ring in Texas.
Oh my God, yeah.
They
got third place rings in Texas.
Oh my gosh, it's bad. Texas sports is a different animal.
Oh yeah, the 30,000 seat high school football stadiums. Yeah, we need those.
Oh my God, no, they do though. I've been to one of those games.
It's terrifying.
It's nuts. Gone are the days of 30,000 stadiums, 30,000 people stadiums.
I mean, maybe not in Texas, but so now we can.
In Dallas, they had 20,000 people
Jesus.
for our Cowboys game.
Well, so I'm a Dolphins fan, and the governor of Florida, who's a complete moron, was like, "Hey, Dolphins, you guys can open up your 65,000 seat stadium," and the Dolphins were like, "No."
To everybody, full 65,000.
Yeah. And the Dolphins were like,
ballsy.
we don't want to do that. Yeah, Florida, it's because they don't care.
The Dolphins had to save face around the league, though. That's what it was. The Dolphins would have done it if it wasn't for the rest of the league. I can see any team. I feel like I won't say the Dolphins. Any team.
Oh yeah.
Like if the state of Ohio was like, hey guys, full capacity, the Browns would be like,
of course.
We're not going to do full capacity, but we'll get close.
What about 86% capacity?
Yeah, we're not going to do this to you guys, but hey.
All right, now we got to talk about the news of the day, which has been on everybody's mind. Mike Tyson.
I love it.
Roy Jones.
I love it. Is this how we wrap it up today?
We have to because this is terrifying.
This is the best. I heard a rumor and I thought they called off the fight. I thought I heard Roy Jones called off the fight, which wasn't true, which forced me to
he should, based on what happened. He should.
Which forced me to Google Mike Tyson Roy Jones Jr. fight, in which I read, and I'll read it for everyone's listening.
I love this.
This was an article posted by ESPN earlier today, even after we just took a dump on ESPN. This is direct quote, so it's fine. Mike Tyson isn't pulling any punches during his exhibition bout against former champion Roy Jones Jr. He wants to win. This is Mike Tyson's quote. This is what he said. My mindset is totally bliss. This is something I've done all my life since I was 13 years old. I'm more evolved now than I've ever been. My objective is to go in there with the best intentions of my life and to disable my opponent. And that's just what it is. Mike Tyson is 54 years old.
It's an exhibition, Mike.
This is when I knew for sure I'm putting $1 million on Mike Tyson.
It's an exhibition.
When Roy Jones Jr. responded with one question he always hears from people is, have you ever fought Mike Tyson? Until now, the answer has always been no. This is Roy Jones. Now I don't have to say no more. Jones said, I'm so glad to get this opportunity because now I can say, yes, I did. I sure did. And guess what? You'll see how – that's the article. Sorry, I misread that. He said, yes, I did. I sure did. Oh, no, this is him still speaking. Sorry. All right, I completely botched this because I'm flabbergasted it at what he said. He said, yes, I did. I sure did. And guess what? Tune in on the 28th and you'll see how it goes.
He's going to die, bro.
On November 28th at the Staples Center, Chuck, if you can get a press pass to this.
I can't.
Some kind of way.
I might be able to, but.
If you can, I need you to go for the both of us. FaceTime me right before the fight.
Most murders you witness aren't premeditated. I don't want to.
Roy Jones, here's the problem. Roy Jones is going into this fight just to say he fought Mike Tyson.
It's a good time.
Mike Tyson is going to this fight to disable Roy Jones Jr. You have two different premises, and they're about something's going to happen, and it's not going to be good. Mike Tyson literally said, I'm going in to disable Roy Jones Jr.
He sounds like old Mike. That's
disable 40.
If you put when was
50
this
years old?
When
50 years old.
If you put when the quote said, I'm going to eat his children and I'm going to disable him, you'd be like, probably the same year. I don't know.
Same thing. He said, I've been doing this I've done this my whole life since I was 13 years old.
I got to look up the betting line on this.
Mike Tyson has been fighting for the last 41 years since he was 13 years old. He is in the best shape of his life. His mental capacity is by far the highest it's ever been.
Agreed.
He's clean. He seems clean and sober. I mean, I'd say he was on drugs before, but
Mike Tyson's minus 200 favorite right now. So it's close to even. Roy Jones is plus 150.
I don't know why it's like that.
I don't either.
350.
This is
I got Tyson in a first round knockout, but that's just me. Unless Mike Tyson has this strategy to because apparently this is a part of
because Mike Tyson's in good ass shape.
Yeah, this is apparently a part of his fighting league he's trying to create or something. Or
people fight each other.
It's like Iron Mike something. I forget what it's called.
Of course it is. Some horrible name.
So
and I love Mike Tyson.
So this is his thing though. Like, this is so weird. Like Mike Tyson's going into it with like this premise of kicking off a boxing league with the biggest fight ever, or like, so. And Roy Jones is like, this is a bucket list moment for me.
Check.
Essentially, Roy Jones is like, hey, I fought Mike.
Roy Jones will quit. I bet Roy Jones will quit. Like, there's going to be like the second round, and Roy Jones is going to be like, no.
Like, I can't imagine that first ding ding and them
Mike Tyson closes the ring off.
Oh my God. Like, I don't think Roy Jones still to this day has watched the sparring videos of Mike Tyson. He can't have. You can't have this mentality.
His own current sparring video. Like,
you can't have this mentality of like, hey, I'm just going to go to say I fought Mike.
He's not watching anything.
You can't. It's just impossible. I don't think it is. I don't think it's like we've talked about this. I don't know in how many episodes, maybe 5 or 6 episodes by this point. But when I read the article today and knowing this was going to be about sports, we had to talk about Mike Tyson. Also, Mike Tyson has a podcast.
Hot boxing. They just
hot boxing. Yeah, it's a cigar or weed. Who knows? Can't say what it is. I don't know for sure. We're not in the room with him. An unfiltered cigarette. Who knows?
Cloves. He's in there smoking cloves.
I don't know. However, did you see the one? I just saw the clip of him talking to Boosie. Did you see that one? And it was just like, hey, Boosie, why are you talking about gay people and stuff? And Boosie's like, I don't know, man. Maybe I should just shut up.
I mean...
And literally, it's Mike Tyson calmly sitting there, like asking Boosie these like questions. I feel like Mike Tyson has, whoever his therapist is, I need to see, because Tyson,
we would all be doing great.
Mike Tyson is at like this peak of life where he's just like free, healthy,
like a zen. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing to see this guy be who he is at 54 years old. 54 is still fairly young.
Very young.
Old for boxing. Young for old for prime shape boxing, but young for, just where he's hit his like stride of life.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is going to be a bloodbath on November 28th.
Horrible, dude.
Roy Jones Jr., just buy your Christmas gifts now because you won't be able to buy them after the 28th. Go ahead, send them early. Just go ahead, get it out the way. Thanksgiving might be your last holiday. It's going to be bad.
I think that about wraps it up, but we got to explain your background. For those of you who can't see it, if you're listening, which we very much thank you for listening, why don't you go ahead and explain?
So, I don't remember the date to the day. I could Google it.
We know the year, though.
2013, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the year is 2013. And the University of Maryland is slated to play, I believe it was Duke that day. It was either North Carolina or Duke. I want to say Duke for sure because I hate Duke. I don't care. I could get a job at Duke, and I hate Duke basketball.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just where I stand.
Yeah.
I'd take their money and still never wear a Duke basketball shirt.
Yeah, you'd be wearing just a blue.
I would work for Duke football and be like, I hate Duke basketball. Like that's where my mindset would be.
For sure.
And that's where my fandom begins and ends when it comes to like hatred of stuff. People think I could work for the Steelers. I have no issue there. Like people look at me like I'm crazy when I say that. I was like, I could do it. No,
I'm not privileged enough to be able to.
It's money. Yeah, it's money. But the Duke Blue Devil basketball team, never. I couldn't do it. Just the core of me wouldn't be allowed to do it. So this is Maryland Duke. I don't know the time of year, but I do know at halftime of this great game, which we won, by the way, at halftime. So what it was is this is obviously one of the biggest games of the year when Maryland. This is when Maryland was in the ACC. The Duke game was a big game for us every time we played them. So I think they opened the student section up like 4 hours long. Like I think usually
way too early.
Like the doors open like 2.5 hours before. I think they opened it like 3.5 hours before for this game or whatever. It was something crazy because what happens is this game is always highly ticketed for students.
Yeah.
Like if you ever see a University of Maryland game, it's great. I'll say it's great because they set up the student seating. They give them pretty much 80% of the lower bowl
Yeah.
if not more. And then the entire student wall, which is this monstrous wall of students that they can roll like a full flag down, which is great. If you guys ever see it, like it's a cool thing. It's a great experience, and it's one of the best atmospheres in college basketball. So they let everybody in. Now, at the time, I didn't stand in this 3-hour line. Like this.
Yeah.
I had perks. We had perks. I worked for a couple of different. So I worked for the football team, the video department for the football team, but I also worked for facilities, operations, and events for the entire athletic department. So we would set up for different volleyball games, basketball games, all the different sporting events. We'd help set up, break down. We did NCAA tournaments. We did a bunch of stuff, a lot of stuff. So this was senior year, I'm assuming so, because we got preferential treatment. They held the front row of this game, and everybody hated us for it. Oh, they thought we were SGA. They were like, so what happened was they as soon as doors opened, we were in the office, so we were in the facilities office inside the arena. So when doors opened, they were like, all right, guys, you guys can go down. Obviously, you'll have like a 100-foot head start of the screaming, because there's general seating. So like first come, first serve.
Yeah.
So, like, all right, we'll sprint in. So everybody you kind of see on that front row or front 2 rows, like people we all work with. So it was like, oh, we just got the great seats in the house.
Yeah.
So so at halftime or pregame, they did I'm making a long story long. At pregame, they did they told us that we were going to do a flash mob. And this was obviously when flash mobs were popular.
Peak 2013 right here, yeah.
Flash mobs were a big thing. However, they had never been done to this scale before. Like flash mobs.
Was this at the time like the biggest flash mob?
Probably. I don't think there was one bigger than this. I can't imagine at the time. So we're like, all right, we're going to like do this whole dance. Like they're teaching us all this dance sequence and everything. The students are in. The rest of the fans have no clue. Like the rest of the paying fans have no clue.
Yeah.
So we kind of get in and we practice it pre-game. Game goes on. I was like, all right, the first TV timeout, we'll do this one thing. It's like, all right, cool. And then at the second TV timeout, we'll do another one or something weird. I don't know. I know it was a TV timeout. And that's when the Harlem Shake was like, and not the Diddy Harlem Shake. That's the one I grew up on.
Yeah, the
weird one. I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know. So, but it was cool, and everybody was doing it. So we did that. We did like this cool flash mob thing with the colors of the T-shirts and just the way the fans. I mean, the way the student section just kind of did a wave and all this other stuff. And all I do was win. I think was the song of that time, and I forget what song was playing. But long story long. That is me in the front row.
Just pointing right at the camera. Just ready to
probably this is my experience in College Park. There's one black guy and then there's another black guy.
And then it's all white people.
And it's all white. And that was my life in College Park. So yeah. Fun time. So I knew the guy who was behind the camera. Obviously, I worked in the video department, so a lot of the video departments crossed. His name was, I think, Mark Sherwood, and he was filming. And I didn't know the whole thing was being filmed. Obviously, I should assume that it was being filmed.
Yeah, man, you work in the media.
But like, I didn't know. Like, I just thought they were filming it for the jumbotron. I didn't know that there was like being filmed to later be put on YouTube.
Yeah.
So this thing gets put on YouTube like the next day. It's on SportsCenter. It's on everything across the board. It's on Barstool. It's everywhere. It's on World Star. It's literally everywhere as like the most popular flash mob video that's ever been done. And literally it's me in the shot for like a good 10 seconds.
Just
obviously
pointing.
The only black guy like jumping up and down, flexing, pointing, doing my thing. And my phone is being blown up that day. The next day, 2 days later, like, hey, was that you?
Like, yes, it was.
And I'm like, yeah, that was me. I like weeks after people were texting me like, hey, I think that was you, but I'm not sure. Like, yes, that was me. Like people from St. John's like hit me up and was like, hey, was that you? Like, yeah, because it was everywhere. And then obviously my clip kind of stood out because it was like the front row. I was right there, like I'm pointing at Mark. And, you know, it's just he put it on YouTube, 10 million views later on YouTube. Your boy's a 2013 celebrity out here, just so you know.
That's funny. I was going to say,
yeah.
I think the best basketball game I went to in college was when, for some reason, against our rival Montana State, they did dollar beer night. So we got pretty wasted.
Sounds legit.
I yelled so much at an MSU player because we were right by the tunnels that he was trying to come into the crowd after the game. That was a good time.
I never heckled. Did I? I might have.
You did. I just know you did. Every fan who says they didn't is a liar.
I got it. So there was one. I didn't heckle, but I just remember I sat behind like the announcer's booth, and Jay Williams was right there, and obviously my hatred for Duke basketball large.
Overflowed.
So I'm like, this was like in between like pregame or whatever, and he's just like turning around, engaging with fans or whatever. And I'm like, he's like literally like looking at me, and I'm like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, "I just want to let you know, when I was like 11, I hated your guts. Like I hated everything about you." And he was like, "You hate? Like that's strong, dude." I was like, "I was 11, Duke basketball. I hated it. I hated you." And I was like, "Then you got drafted by the Bulls, and I loved you because I was a Bulls fan, and I loved everything you did on the basketball court. However, I hated everything about you at Duke basketball." He's like, "I get it, but hate's a strong word." I was like, "Sorry, but I hated you."
All right, peace out, Jay Williams.
Yeah. I just remember I never told another person I hated you. I knew nothing about you at age 11, but I hated you.
I hated you. Oh man. Anything else in this this sports the 10th episode?
Nah, man, just respect the players.
Respect the game.
Coaches, respect the game. It just means more. It just means more. Is that the SEC thing? It just means more.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
But no, I think we get it. We understand fandom. Without the fans, we would be nothing. We wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't be able to do the things that I do. Have what I have. So I appreciate fans. I appreciate the game. But I wish there was more overarching respect for everyone involved. It's not as easy as it looks, contrary to popular belief.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just have fun with it. Don't take it too serious. Yeah, don't take it too seriously. I get it.
100%.
But that's my spiel. I don't know. Anything else we got on sports? No? Yes, no?
I think that's it. I think we got to get these people out of here. They're probably on their commute. We'll have an episode.
Those long LA commutes.
Hey, I mean, I guess
the Dodgers parade.
Oh my!
They're gonna have a COVID parade.
They might, because I'll tell you what, Sunset Boulevard, after they won, I was dodging bottle rockets. They were shooting fireworks at the cops. It was great. I loved it.
Question before we go.
Blunt, yelling. It was so fun.
Are you upset with the player who had COVID and came back out to celebrate?
Yes. He's a complete idiot. Great third baseman, can play a mean third base, but also a complete moron. We might have to do an election episode. It's Tuesday.
You want to do it on Tuesday?
No, we'll figure it out. Let's let it sink in for a couple days. Depending on what the fuck happens.
We'll put a pin in that. Depending on what happens, we'll get a election. If it goes the wrong way, we're not getting an election.
Oh, we are. We might not even be allowed to speak.
We'll all be.
Oh God! But thanks for listening to the New 20's. We come out every week or so. You can find us at the New 20's on Instagram and on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Charles Mockler. Where can these fine people find you, sir?
They can find me at Kingskid_15, all lowercase. It doesn't matter. I don't think why I said that. It doesn't matter.
Don't put it all in all caps.
And if you haven't listened to the last podcast, we're on episode 10. This was episode 10. We've got 10 plus hours of great content.
Relationships, comedy, jobs,
you name
race.
It.
First episode's kind of depressing, but it's a good episode.
Yeah. But so if you guys, take some time, want to listen, skim through, let us know, man, what your favorite topics were, what they could be, anything you guys want us to talk about, let us know. We're here to just chit chat it on up and figure out what's going on in the world. So again, November 3rd, is that Tuesday? Please tell me it's the 3rd. Okay, cool. I didn't want to be like 4th and be the wrong day. November 3rd, Tuesday. Please go vote. This podcast will be posted before Tuesday. So
yes, it will.
So the reminder will.
If you hear this on next Wednesday, you have messed up.
So have a great time. Get into the polls. Be kind to everyone. This is a trying time.
We gotta
with COVID. There's I've heard different things from the polling people or the polling judges, poll workers. Literally, once somebody comes into their thing, they have to wipe it down. The lines will be long. Things are gonna happen. Be prepared. Take a chair, an umbrella. Make sure you have your ID.
Couple of beers.
Literally, be kind to everyone. Don't let anybody stop you from voting. Don't stop someone from voting.
Don't do that.
Don't be a jerk. So yeah, that's all I got. That's my spiel. That's my thing. I'm sticking to it. You guys have a great rest of your night, great rest of your day, whatever you got going on right now, and enjoy it. Peace out, guys.
Yeah. Keep wearing masks.